let me tell you, my name is Wendy, and this is my best friend and my sister, Elvie. Well, we're not sisters by blood, but we're practically sisters. And we'd like to welcome you to our pilot. This is our first time. We hope you come back and you enjoy what we're going to be sharing. And we do come with a disclaimer, right?
Yes, we do. So, my name is Elvira, Wendy's best friend. We created this podcast for many different things, not because we're experts, not because we're therapists. By all means, we are just regular human beings trying to live through this world and get through it. So, we created this podcast so that we can feel like we vent, maybe a place where you wish things that you knew that you want to share with others to make life a little bit easier. I wish I had that friend. Sometimes I feel lonely. Sometimes I feel like I'm lost. And sometimes I open up my podcast and I look at a stranger and I connect with that stranger, And so we wanted to create this because we were sitting in the front porch discussing life events during the pandemic. And it hit a moment where we're going through so much despair, but that conversation alone calmed us down. Yeah. We're like, okay, everything's gonna be okay. I'm not the only one going through this. So I hope that you enjoy it. There's going to be many different topics that we touch, from growing up to traditions, through livelihood, and also bringing guests that know about life and things that we don't know about to help, give advice in that sense, but experts, not us.
Yes, no, most definitely. And again, we just want to be able to relate to you guys, because sometimes, like LV mentioned, there could be things that you're facing in your life that you might think, what do I do? You're at a crossroads. And again, we're not advising anyone, but we're just sharing our experience, what we've gone through, what we've learned. We're in our mid-30s, not ashamed, thank the Lord, we're still here. I was a teen mom, so we're gonna have an episode on that, because, although I don't see a lot of teen moms nowadays, which is a good thing, right?
The baby boomers, I think we're the last of it. But I think, we wanted to introduce ourselves in a creative way. We didn't want to go over our bio. Okay, we're not in Wikipedia yet, but we didn't want to be that robotic when introducing ourselves. So the way that we wanted to talk about ourselves is talk about some of the traditions that we grew up with, a little bit about our background, our heritage, and some things that maybe we want to continue and that we didn't appreciate as much when we were little. So I'll start. I am Mexican American, born and raised in Santa Cruz. My parents came to the United States. My mom was the first one out of all her family to come here when she was 17 years old. She crossed here, took her 3 days to cross, met a woman that brought her to Watsonville, and that's where she became a babysitter, and that's where everything kind of started. So some of the traditions that I really, really enjoy is, of course, during the holidays, since we're just barely coming out of the holidays, where people come together, you go to someone's house, someone has pozole, tamales, and someone's either drinking on the side with the tío, the kids are playing outside, and then everyone's sleeping at someone's house. So wherever you can find a place to sleep, make sure you bring your Mexican blanket, okay? So that tradition right there, that feeling of home, that feeling of food and comfort, those were the things that maybe as a little kid I didn't understand. And I was like, oh, we gotta get dressed. Why do we have to be there? Who's gonna talk about me? But then now growing up is something that I yearn for, something that I thrive for. That's something that the only reason why I want to go to the holidays to have those smells and feel that. So that's a little bit about me.
And I was born here, but I was raised by my Salvadorian parents. I love them so much. I lost my mom almost 10 years ago. Thank God my dad is still around. But one of the traditions that has to do with the holidays as well was my mama's pan con pollo, which every year I strive to improve my recipe, because I feel like it doesn't taste like my mom's. But I think, I think this Christmas, it tasted a lot like hers. And then it brought some sort of satisfaction, knowing yes, I finally.
She doesn't give herself enough credit. It tastes delicious.
So growing up, that was our go-to like holiday dinner. Like that was what mom would always make. And then going kind of like going by what you were saying, you know, like parties and gatherings and stuff like that. Yes, it's so true. You know, like I just remember. Well, for instance, I didn't grow up rich, nothing like that. You know, we come from, you know, like a poor home. You know, we lived in a single, and that's all I knew for most of my childhood. And but every Christmas, my mom would always have a new outfit for me, or she would make them because she was a seamstress. So she would like look at dresses, like whatever she like caught her eye on the store, on TV, and then like she'd make it for me. So those little things, and I would hate it because she would be like, okay, you gotta try it on. When the little las agujas, the needles, and I'm like,
Poke you.
oh, no,
Stay
she didn't,
still.
but I would get paranoid. She wouldn't because she had, you know, she knew what she was doing.
She's a professional.
But like now when I look back, it's like, you know, we didn't have a lot, but yet she always managed to make sure that like we had like new outfits, and then we had a dinner, and like those little memories, like like you said, you know, we crave for. And now that she's not around, like you know, I've accepted it, and then I know she's home with the Lord. But this Christmas, and maybe because it's been almost 10 years, I think it kind of hit me, you know, like I was at the store buying all the ingredients, los tomates, los chiles verdes, and then this like Christmas Spanish song came on, and I'm like, and I just sit there in the store, like, I'm about to cry.
And, you know, you made a comment that we didn't have enough, but honestly, I feel like we were rich. Yes. In a sense of like family, and we didn't grow up like, oh, you don't have this, until maybe somebody pointed it out to us, like, oh, actually, exactly, at school with different, you know, diversities, and you're like, wait, you don't have that, or you don't have the new backpack, or you don't have the new shoes. Like, no, I don't even ask.
I remember this girl, I won't mention any names,
yes,
because I had some filas. And which is
they're
crazy.
Coming back
now. They're like everybody wants them, or what?
They're like the Skechers of the 90s. But now they're coming back.
But I remember I had these Fila shoes, and I had a Nike jacket, like a windbreaker. And these two girls, they were like me. Now when I look back, I'm like, they were my friends. I would hang out with them, but they were like they were mean
bullies.
Yes. And I remember they pointed that out, and I remember like it got to me, you know, because I was like, oh, like I felt like I didn't fit in. And well, now, I mean, I don't care now, like obviously we've grown up, but you know, but those little things like that, like, you know, I don't know, maybe your kids are going through something like that, you know, like nowadays, like, because sneakers nowadays are not like $50-$100, girl, they're like $300-$400.
Remember when you can get a bag of 4 chips for $1? Those were the good days, okay? We are not in those days anymore, kids.
Yeah, so things like that, and it's true. I didn't like material, like all the material stuff. You know, we were poor because I didn't have a house, I didn't have a new car. Well, my parents didn't, you know. But la comida, food, and love, like that was never absent, you know. And for that, I am forever grateful to my parents, because I feel that what shapes us, you know, humility. You know, you learn to be humble, you learn to value things, you learn to work hard and strive, because I feel that's an area where, like with my kids, I have 3 kids, well, 2 adults and 1 kid, but they're still kids. I feel like because I wanted to give them whatever, you know, like my parents didn't give me, like I want to just spoil them. But then I started realizing I was just spoiling them, and then they're not even learning the value of what do I need to do, like, to earn this. Because, you know, they already know, like, oh, like mom and dad got me. But that's not like, it shouldn't be like that. So then, you know, this Christmas, I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm going to keep it minimal. You know, let's give them something that they want, but I'm not trying to, because I try to go all crazy, like little gifts within a gift, and like, let's get.
You're a mom, you want to give them more than you didn't have, but it's almost the same thing probably our parents are trying to do, right? But I think they taught us a lot harder. My first job, I was 13, 14, newspaper girl.
Oh, I wish I would have seen that.
Yes, that's why I think I got my selling skills from. but it was in a group of all boys, so they were very hard on me, and they definitely taught me of what not to do and what to do. But even from there, my mom showed me a bill, and she's like, "This is how much it's going to be for the light." And I was like, "What? That's my whole paycheck. I can't even afford that." And I remember, like, I felt so responsible that I gave my mom something for the light, and I feel like I'm contributing. And so I think that's what helped us and shaped us. So continuing with traditions, what do you feel about, what the man has to do and what the woman has to do? Ooh, like the equality, right? So, like, for example, here, growing up, Hispanic, Mexicana, the man has to work and the woman has to stay home and cook. My mom, at first, it was like a battle between what my mom wanted to give us. She wanted to give us the U.S. life, but with the Mexican values, and it was kind of like you live both worlds. Like, you go to school, you're getting taught all these American ways, but then you come home and it's only Spanish. You have all your Mexican dishes, and you're kind of stuck in that, So here you get taught, you're independent, you can do everything that you can, no matter what, if you put your mind to it. And in the old school ways is like, no, the man has to go out there. You should be home with the kids. You should be, attending of the home. So what are your thoughts about that?
That's a really good question, because actually I feel my point of view has changed in the last couple of years. So again, growing up, it was dad working. My dad's, he was a car mechanic. So that's what he would do. And then my mom would stay home. Well, she decided to quit her job because they didn't like how my babysitter was taking care of me. So dad told my mom, like, you know what, like, let's just to have a peace of mind, you have to stop working. Well, he didn't tell her you have to. He said, like, you should stop working, take care of the baby. And,
somebody tell me to stop working, please.
And so that's what happened. And so I grew up with my mom, being home. And but of course, like you said, in school we're taught the American way. Well, different ways, I understand. Times have changed. But it's crazy to think that, back in the 50s, 60s, a man was able to, he would work alone and then put his kids through college, pay a house, pay a car, groceries and all that stuff. And mom was able to, take care of the family at home. And fast forward now, literally, you need to have two working parents to maintain a home. Because it's just with, aside from inflation, besides inflation hit us recently, if you want that life, right, you want the two cars, you want the house, you want good education for your kids, you both need to work. That's the reality. Well, here in California, I know that has to be, but honestly, there's always a price that you pay, and as a mom, I know that me and both dad and I being on, out in the fields, we're working, and then not being able to be with the kids, for most of their childhood, because I've always worked, it's hard. It's hard because, you want to be the strongest influence on your kid. You want to be the loudest voice in their head. But there's things that they're learning outside your home that's going to influence their decisions. And then now with the pandemic and everything, and that's going to be a whole nother episode.
Social media, big influence, which we didn't have growing up. So it's other people in their heads telling them, hey, this is how you should dress. This is how you should be. These are the things
This is how you should think. This is how you should vote. This is how you should be, all those things. And then through the pandemic, although it was horrible, I thank God it happened, because it opened my eyes to a whole nother world that I was blind to. And I realized that we were facing situations with our kids where I was like, wait, I don't understand. Why are you thinking this is okay? Or, you know what I mean? So I honestly, and my son makes fun of this. He makes fun of me all the time, because I wish I could stay home. Now, seeing everything that we've gone through, I want to be home. And, and I came to the Lord almost 3 years ago, and I've learned that, as a wife, we have to submit to our husbands, godly husbands, by the way, okay? Because we don't want to
we want to be submitted to someone who is not willing to be submitted. So don't think bad before you come in here and write these ugly comments. No bullies allowed. Let's all be nice. These are just our personal opinions, again, our personal upbringings. And again, going back to storytelling, I think this is why it's important. These are experiences that have happened to us, and they're our thought, so if you do have an opinion, hey, by all means, we're open to it. So what are your thoughts on it? We'd like to hear. Let us know,
Yes.
please.
So I really like the question because I feel like we could go on like a long time talking about this. But yeah, so that has definitely changed my view. I'm all for, you know, like women rights, you know, we gotta work and independent and all of that. But in my opinion, we do need a husband. We do need a father figure for our children. And there's things that, you know, morally that we have to teach our kids, because if you're not teaching the kids this, if they're not seeing this, trust me, like someone else will. And we got to be paying attention to what our kids are watching. Like you said, social media, that's another lesson I had to learn with my little one on YouTube. You know, and quote unquote, that's what she told me. She's like, mommy, YouTube teaches me everything. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, hold up. No more phone for you. But things like that, yeah. So definitely, I guess I'm old school now. I'm very old school where like,
But I think that's where we didn't understand. I was the same way. I was be independent. I don't need a man. I can do everything. There gets to a point where you're tired. I need somebody, you know, and or when people say, oh, it's 50-50, it's not 50-50. You need a partner that's going to give you 100%. There's times where you cannot even give 100% even if you want to, like when you get sick. Yes. You need your partner to give that 100%. And I didn't realize it for a very long time that it's 100. I can't just give you half of me. Try working with only half of your side, you know, or, you know, half of you. You don't get 100%. So that's what I learned about relationships. And yes, you do need a partner to help you, you know, in the sense where you need that motivation. You need to bring someone up, and someone who has the same values as you is very important. I think the physical, a lot of people get lost by the physical. I heard someone say that, you know, relationships are driven by ego. So are we just looking at like what people look like, or are we really getting them for who they are? What are they going to teach my children? You know, what are they going to bring to my life? And not just now, maybe later, long term.
Like back in the day, we'd be like, oh, he's so fine. Like, oh, let me go talk to him. You know, like, oh my goodness. Like, but you know, that was immaturity, you know, because again, you know, shallowness, you know, like, well, we grew up in the 90s. I feel like, I don't know.
It was like we were trying to wall out, but then now we don't want to. We want back the traditions. And that comes with growing up, and that comes with experiences. Again, you know, we're not here to tell you this is the way to be. These are just experiences that have opened our eyes. And we've gone through some crazy things. So, you know, I don't have any children, but those are the things that I look for if I want to bring children to this crazy world. What is going on? Who is going to teach them? What are my surroundings? And I want to stay home too. I see mothers that have to go to work. You guys are real MVPs. There should be like more than just one day for holidays for mom. Like you brought a whole human to this world. That is crazy. Yeah.
So that's So like I said, I think we could totally have another episode, you know, on these things. You know, traditional ways of, you know, raising a family. Yes. Anything else that we could be sharing?
I mean, to continue with traditions, there's so much things that we do as, you know, holidays. We talked about holiday parties, marriages.
Ooh, how about the holiday parties? So I mentioned I grew up in a single. Tell me why we be having like big parties in like an upstairs neighbor, like in a single apartment. You know, and I miss that. Like, just how, like, humble and, like, simple people would do it. Because it was all about really getting together and celebrating, having a good time. I don't know where they were putting the furniture. I don't know how the
all
heck
of a sudden the whole vecindad fits like rows of chairs. There's a DJ. Someone's house is the bathroom, and you go in there, but you make it work. You know, and I think that like the community is so important. I think now people are like, well, my things are my things. What happened to?
Tanto eso. I feel like nowadays we get so caught up with like the visuals, you know, like, oh, we want to have the perfect decorations, like the perfect table and this and that I feel like we forget like the connection. And I think oftentimes we find ourselves fighting each other because we can't agree, like, no, I don't want this, well, I don't like, you know, how this looks. And
where
like
the
back
purpose,
in the day, I'm telling you, like back in the day, like literally like a sofa and like all these chairs lined up around the walls, and make sure, because you gotta have some dancing space, right? And it was like that. It was that simple. Los panes con pollo o tamales o lo que sea.
Pollo, yes.
and those were our parties, you know. And well, as a kid, we didn't have a choice, right? Because we were dragged everywhere. And I remember my parents, we would like coming like in the middle of the night. I have pictures of me wearing my little party dress, and I'm just like knocked out because they'd be dancing all night long, and my ass is like on the chair, like just knocking out. But then, oh, how about making friends at these parties? Do you remember?
Yes, I mean, you were an only child.
Yes.
During that time, so I know it can be very nerve wracking, but it's like, hey, you just look at each other. Okay, you slowly kind of get closer to each other. By the end, you're best friends. You don't even want to leave. You're sweating bullets. All your outfit, las medias are all broken. Your tights have holes already on them. Yes, and I think that comes growing up with our neighborhoods and where we grew up, and that sense of, again, I bring back to the community, because when you mentioned, you know, food. And where one person ate, I felt like 17 people could eat, and that was like, that was our love language. I would say food. You know, it's like, hey, I mean, I know you, but here's something I can bring for the posada or the potluck. You know, and that's why I think I'm like reminiscing in my head. I was like, that's what makes it so much fun, and those are the things that I'm craving, and I want my children to experience.
Yeah, and I feel it was we had a lot of like social stimulation. You know, I feel like we were playing outside quite a lot every day for hours. You know, I think about it, because I feel like ever since like technology, which is good, you know, I mean, technology brings a lot of things. I mean, look at us right now, you know, we're able to connect with, you know, with all of
more than people that we could ever even imagine.
Yes. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of like isolated us from each other as well, as much as we're connecting with everyone out there. But oftentimes, like, and that's one thing that like my husband and I, we realized at home, is that yes, we're home, but everybody's on a device. The little ones are on Nintendo, the other ones are playing, you know, video games, and then we're like scrolling away. You know, you check your phone for the time, but then you start, you know, automatically you go into your social media and all of that, you know. And I feel like the fact that we didn't have that growing up, you know, like I feel that was like such a blessing, because we got to connect with, like you said, our neighbors. I was basically an only child, you know, so I didn't have siblings at home. So those were my friends, you know, those were the people I played with, and it was every single day. And I realized like my kids don't have that.
I mean, we grew up in a time where the internet was coming out. So that came out, the phone. So being able to even send a phone, emails, we were in those transitions of no technology to like 0 to 1,000 real quick.
Definitely, because I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 20 or 19, like when I got my first job. That's when, and it was like a little Motorola like flip phone. It was like a cheap little phone.
I had the Nokia Snake, okay? It was a brick, but it worked.
Let me put it this way: I had kids before I had a phone.
Hey.
and although, but honestly, like now a phone is like, it's like a limb. Like people panic. I was reading that somewhere. Like when people, like when they realize they're missing their phone, it's like the panic mode they go into. It's like receiving like really like grave news. Like, you know, like when you're like, where's my phone?
Damn. I'm guilty. I've been guilty. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? It's in my hand.
No, so like, so I feel like part of traditions, you know, like I just wish my kids would have gone through a lot of this, which they kind of did, because my mom helped me raise my kids while I was put myself, you know, through school and work and all of that. So they grew up with VHS and all that stuff, but they definitely got phones before they were 18. And I feel like, you know, they be acting like they're entitled to it. Like, you know, like, oh, I want a phone. Right? I need a phone. Because it's not even about I want. It's I need
a phone. Like, why? You are 10 years old. You do not need a phone. Who is going to call you? Do you even know my number? No, probably not. I had to remember everybody's number by heart, okay? And then call 1-800-COLLECT. Maybe see if somebody will pick up through the payphones. But something traditional that I wish we continued, this is way back, is farming.
Well, you know what? I need to learn to do that.
Because, I mean, it's so sustainable. You learn your own veggies, and I mean, in the case something happened and you couldn't get a source, you kind of already have your own food supplies. It takes a lot of responsibility, but I mean, I think that something that they need to teach kids or continue to teach that.
Yeah, I think I don't think it's like a solid course they have to take, but because I know that in elementary they teach you, you know, about seeds and growing stuff, but nothing to the point where like you said, become like self-sufficient, you know, and everything. And girl, have you seen how much eggs are right now?
$7 where I live at.
Are they even organic?
No, that's the funny part.
I'm like, that's insane. Like, I think in the like within a year, everything just like doubled, right?
I'm gonna get chickens. That's my goal.
Me too.
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna go to Tijuana. They're cheaper there. You can just get them paper. It's so easy to cross animals. I didn't know how easy it was.
Well,
On another note,
we're learning. Please,
yes.
let us know.
On another note, we'll take another trip to Tijuana.
Yes,
show you that life.
But most definitely, I think that is something like we do need, because if something happens, your source is cut off, or it's too damn expensive, you can't even afford it, because it's coming to the point where people are making sacrifices right now, where people are eating less. People are not spending as much on their groceries. So now, like, dude, that's crazy to me. Like, to think that now we have to like really watch what we're buying. In a way, it's a little like incentive, you know, because we have to buy less junk food. Because I feel because everything's going up, like cereals and all these things. And that's just crazy. So if I could learn how to grow my food, I mean, that would be amazing. Oh, girl, I tried. I really did. Like half of them died.
It's a routine. It really is a routine.
It's a lot of work.
That's what I'm saying. You would appreciate things more. So I appreciate it because my mom and my dad, that's how they met. My dad worked actually with the Farm Worker Society, and that's how he got his citizenship from working there. But I appreciate how he would like come, work really late, picking lettuce, artichokes, strawberries, I think also apples, and then at the end they ended up working at mushrooms. So like peeling mushrooms and all of that stuff. So I appreciate a lot more, and I see it more because half of the people on here would not go pick your own strawberries or your own stuff. Let's be real.
No,
maybe we should, so you can feel you appreciate that strawberry. Make sure it doesn't go to waste.
Oh my goodness, yes, that's another thing. Like Donald, my husband, he hates it when there's food that goes to waste. Like, he'll be like, no, we'll take that on the next trip, because if I take it now, you guys are gonna let it go back. I'm like, no, we're gonna eat it. No, but honestly, we have improved. But it's true, you know, you learn to, ahora que estamos pagando más.
Oh yeah,
you better make sure you eat everything in the fridge.
Or we count exactly how many do you need? How many serranos do you need? 8. Okay, got it. How many tomatoes? 4. Very specific. And then when is this milk expiring? How many days do we need to break it down? But no, I hear you. And again, we're going to talk about different things in our podcast, from finances. So if you don't know now, go follow Wendy. Wendy has a whole channel that talks about finances, because what people don't tell you is you need to save money now. It's not about how much money you are making money now. It's about how much you're saving for the future.
Yes, and retiring. A lot of you youngsters, you are just, I know.
Estamos tan viejitos.
I know, right? No, but I'm telling you, because I have a 19-year-old and an 18-year-old, and I've been talking to them about investing in retirement now for like quite a while. So I am a financial broker, and I've been able to educate them on this, because trust me, at that age, I know what we're, I remember being 18, 19, wanting to be free, wanting to go out. Oh, I have a credit card, swipe.
Nobody talks about your credit.
All that stuff, So we want to be able to, be able to reach out to not just young people, but obviously just people in general.
Everyone.
There are ways, to invest your way to retirement, and it's not about age. It's about how fast and how much you could accumulate.
I wish I knew the things that we know now of what you've educated me on, we probably would have owned a house at 22. Let me tell you, it's doable. So I'm not a financial broker, but she taught me, and I am part of her services, or I have the same services to retire. But people need to talk about these things. This is what I'm telling you about. And sometimes when people talk to you, they talk to you in this language where you don't understand anything. And you're like, I don't trust you with my money. I need someone to talk to me in my language. Yes. And this is what I'm talking about. When someone breaks down exactly, they're like, what? You want to take my money?
And sometimes it's just because we're so used to thinking one way that we refuse to be open-minded. Or and like you said, sometimes, I might be a stranger. You might not know me. So you put up a guard, and you're like, well, like you say, like, I don't trust you. So I feel like we're looking forward to this, be able to share more about this because there's just so many ways and so many areas that we've gone through that we want to be able to share with you guys. Whether it's saving for retirement, how about HR? You work in HR, and she was just right before we started this pilot, she was just like telling me all these things that like I didn't know about, and I'm glad you did because I do have someone that actually might need your little.
And I'm telling you, this is Let Me Tell You podcast.
No, I'm just kidding. No, we honestly we just wanna we just like love talking. Like any other comadres, right?
Who doesn't like to chat up? But if you can teach someone so that they can better their life, that's the purpose of here too. Yes. If you can take a little moment and say, I didn't know that, now I know, let me go use it for my benefit. Great, we got somebody. If you're feeling low, you're feeling bad, and the world has been like crazy, you need to disconnect, here we are, your comadres, to like get you out of that funk,
Yes, because we've been in that funk. And I know there's been times where I isolated myself. Like I wouldn't even want to like talk to you or like to anybody. But through all of this, I've learned that, and we've talked about this before, is going to God. I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian too.
Yes, so I've learned that I need to go to Him first before I start going and venting and like crying to other people, because we usually tend to either we go to somebody else,
social media,
and I get it. You get some support through there, but there's no support and there's no love like Jesus. So that's going to be another episode, but definitely I am so grateful to be here. We hope you enjoy our pilot or our podcast, and you come back and leave some comments.
Please, again, if there's any topics that you want to hear or that you want to share, maybe even if we live through it, by all means, put it on the comments. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and post.
Yes. Oh, and follow our page, because we do create a page. And yes, it's share it with everybody, and hope to connect with you guys soon. Thanks so much, and God bless.
Thank you.